what we're going to do today is Chad is going to go over some of the image widgets, if you will. Chad, take it away and go over the couple of widgets that we have for today.
Yeah, today we're going to go over how to add images using either the slider or the thumbnails. We'll start with the slider. And the slider basically adds multiple images to one box and kind of slides between them. So that's pretty neat. And once you create the widget, you're going to see the slider right here. And then you would simply add a new slide because it's going to be empty. And this is where you would put in your images. And then here's your little image file. You can drag and drop from your folders, or you can actually browse to the folders as well. If you browse to your folder and upload an image from your computer, you always have to make sure to click upload down here, and that'll actually upload it to the server. Otherwise, it won't let you actually save until you click that. So what you do is you add one image. You can give it a title if you want, and then text, and that'll actually put it right on top of the image. So once we save it, you can see there is now the image with the title and text on it. If you didn't want any text, you would just erase this and it would do just the image. And you can also add buttons, and that's gone over in the buttons tutorial as well, but that would put a button on the image as well. And once you've added your one image and you're sure everything's saved, you would simply go back to the main menu, to the slider menu, that is. You can access that by the top menu here, or you can click the back button down here. Once you're back in the main slider, you would simply add another image and however many you want. We also have our global media library, which is full of thousands of free images you can use. So you would simply just click one and then you can add that. And these are already all on our server, so you don't have to actually click save. That'll just automatically add it right to there. And you can see on the right-hand side here, it is now, you see the arrows and the dots. And if I just leave it alone and don't touch it, it should slide automatically between the two. Or you can click the arrows and then transition manually. And then once you've added your second image, you can add your third and your fourth. And then this is the time that it would take to slide automatically. And this is whether it would be a slide or like a fade, where it kind of fades out and the new one fades in. But all you would simply do is see how this one fades instead of sliding completely over. And then all you would do is basically just add all of your images, save them, and it'll just add more and more to that slider. Another cat.
Yep, very, very simple widget to use. I mean, everybody's been using it too, so as well. Yeah. It's as Chad is going over that, you'll see that he's not really going over the main text and title, because that's the same for every one of the widgets. And then SEO, graph, that'll be actually on more advanced training. So
right. Yeah, that's for search engine optimization and social media sites and stuff.
Yeah, very, very easy one. Yes, exactly, Colin. So it's a simple one, but it's effective. Now, always you want to watch, if you start putting too many images on, next thing you know, your website or your site is now all those little dots going across the screen for just too many images. So, obviously it always has to look good, but yeah. So sliding, fading is nice, and then you can play with little tricks. You can have similar images that kind of flow together. So there's some fun little tricks that you can do with it. Just obviously play around with it and form your own little neat little tricks.
Right, exactly. And then for additional options, they're the same as all the others. You can switch this whether this is mobile or desktop only, and whether login is required, as well as you can adjust the width and the background. So if you wanted to give this just like a very basic background that'll color the whole image, the whole area basically with the background color. It's actually behind the picture most likely. Yeah, so he'd be behind the picture. So when it comes to sliders, you can do a whole lot of stuff. Pretty much just add your images, and then it'll automatically create it for you. So
yeah, exactly. Simple. And then when you want to adjust it, as you said, by the additional stop of the widget, it all depends on your layout whether that fits. So obviously we all know that. And then when you put a gray background, it's not going to really show. So
yeah, it showed up behind the picture, so that wasn't a good one to use a background for, but. Yeah.
There we go. But that's basically it for that widget. We know everybody's a master of that simple widget. And is there any questions is there a remove or a delete image?
Yeah, what you would do is you would click the actual slider itself. So there's the list of widgets, and the slider widget is right there. Once you open the widget, you would see the individual images right here. And you can just simply click one and then scroll down to the bottom to delete this item.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see it got rid of that. Now it's just the 3 images.
And can you get the title and text to be above or below the image?
That would be the intro title and text.
Mm-hmm. And then what you can always do too, because remember they are widgets, right? So how they all sit on a page is up to you.
Right. And
So,
you see the background right there now. It expanded. Oh, sorry, go on.
so what you can do is you could always put a widget on top of it. So say if you wanted to put this is what I'll tell you what I do all the time. When I'm putting like a slider or something like this, on top of it, usually I have a content block or something like that. So that way I can put my title, have more control over where I want that, and then below it I'll have like my slider or my images show there. That's typically what I do for that one. So hopefully that answers that for you, Chuck.
Right. And also remember, this widget is also kind of embedded in a lot of other ones. Like this is pretty much in the content block, how the content block would let you add images. Once you add more than one image, it'll automatically become a slider, and you can sort of incorporate it with the text in that, or you can do just a content block and below that a separate image slider.
Correct, and good point there too, Chad.
Yeah. And then what I was saying about earlier, sorry to interrupt you, but you see how once you add a title, it's now expanded the background. So before it was just below behind the image, now it's covering the whole area.
Yeah, a lot of this is everybody's knowing who's been playing with this is, in a sense, you can customize it so fully. That's why I always say I play with it with multiple monitors. Now I'll also open it up on a tablet, and I'll even send it to myself on a phone. I know I say this all the time, but I do that so I know exactly what this looks like. Even though I know 100% on my image tool what it looks like, let me just double check. And so that's what I always do. And a lot of times I add it to my home screen so I can just click on it really fast and be able to see my work. But
Right, yeah.
If there's no more questions for that one, Chad, go on to the next widget. I knew this would be a fast one for everybody.
Yeah, that one's pretty simple. And then the next one is the thumbnails. So this is going to add images in a grid, essentially. So instead of all on top of each other scrolling, it's going to add multiple images. So it's actually very similar to the previous one. You see here, it creates a blank box here, and you would simply click add a new element to add the images one by one. And then you can drag and drop, you can browse, or you can use the global media library. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add multiple images, and you see when you add the first one, it created a small image right there, and it's kind of small because it's already planning to arrange them in the grid. Also do text just like the slider. And then when you add multiple images, you're going to start to see it's going to arrange them. See that there's the spot for the second one right there. So you would simply click on the other image, save them, and then you'll see once it's saved, it creates them all right next to each other, kind of in a line.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me add a few more just so you can kind of see how to organize it. Once you add enough of them, then you can sort of change how you want them to be organized and how you want them to be displayed on desktop versus computer. And then let me give these some title too, because once you click on them, that's when you're going to start to see these. So you just see how these work. But let me add one more just so you can see a grid of 4. Okay, so now you see we got a nice little grid of 4 pictures. Once you click on one, it would show you the title and the subtitle, and then you can scroll between them, and you see how anything I added a title to, it'll now appear right above or below. And then let's see how this looks on desktop. So you can see on the desktop, it puts them in a line, whereas on the phone here, it has them 2 by 2, and that's because of this right down here, the mobile columns versus desktop columns. This will help you determine how it appears on desktop. So if you want it to be longer, just like on desktop, you would set this to 4. Now columns go up and down, just so you're not familiar. So this would be 4 up and down columns. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it organizes that. And then if you want just one, this will put them all in one solid line, one solid column. So now you can see they're all in a line now. and you can organize them differently on desktop versus mobile. So that would how you'd be able to organize it. Additional options would be whether it's mobile only or desktop only. Now, this would be useful if you want to show like different images. What you can do is have this mobile only, and only certain images would show up on mobile, and you can do a separate one for desktop where it's separate desktop images. But if you want them to show the same image, just organize it differently, you would use this. So you switch this to one, and you'll see here now, if once I refresh this, instead of being all 4 different columns, when I refresh it, it is now, they're all on top of each other right there. They still let you click it and view the title, the subtitle, and that's what those are good for. Yeah. Where the slider, you can't click the slider. You see the full image and any text.
Correct. And then if you go back to we have a question from Sid, and I'll show you. Go back. Go back to the question. You can't link the image. However, what again you can do is, it's not a bad idea, actually, to tell you the truth, Sid, of being able to link that image. Because I know we can't right now. You'd actually have to put like a button or something along those lines near it. So, but that's actually a good idea to have a link on one of those. I'm making a note of that.
Yeah, that might be work because to have like a buttons widget section or something, or just the ability to do a separate external links.
So, and also to note, we're pretty much done for every new feature that we're adding for right now until the launch. We want to make sure everything that we have is perfected. Now, what is still coming is the undo button, and it's slipping my mind right now. There's one other feature that is still relevant that is coming to as well. So we're getting less and less questions as well, and really not coming across a whole lot of errors anymore too as well. So we're getting down to it. We still got plenty of training left for everybody, but just to let you know that any new idea that comes up, like the one that Sid just said, we will be looking to do that right after launch too as well. So thank you for that. So sorry, Chad.
Oh yeah, it's all good. I mean, that was pretty much just about it. As for, I already told you about the additional options. You can organize them separately, additional styles. Those just like all the other ones. You can determine the space that it takes up on desktop, as well as the margins. You can do backgrounds as well for that. Yeah. So if you did a background, this would actually rearrange the background too, depending on how much space it's taking up, which is pretty neat. And
a little one there, if you go back to that, to the where the section just for the options, go up to the desktop space where it says the full width.
Oh yeah.
It's another one where you want to like. That's another one where you're going to want to play with a little bit, everybody. So you start playing with that one and seeing how it's going to change the size of these images and how they look basically on your desktop. So play with that. What I always like to do is play with each and every one. Go down the list of each one and go play it, because you see when you do anything with our system how fast it refreshes.
Yeah, you see how much skinnier it is now. Yeah.
So just always try that. Now bolding, yeah, Joe, that is a good question. Bolding, title, and subtitle. We are actually going to work on that too. Now, granted, we can always put a little CSS code, but that's a little bit more of an advanced one. I've actually brought that up to Silvio. Could we have that? So basically, what in the end, what we'll end up having, again, some of this after launch, would be every place that you can put, typically put a title, put any sort of text in there. We're going to want to be able to change the color, font, and make the size of it. So.
Right. Yeah, you can do so much customization with this. Like you just saw, I didn't mean to interrupt him, but you see when I adjusted this, it shifted everything over to 1/3, about the 1/3 of the space that was taken up before. If you wanted to adjust that in the desktop, you can do like 1/2 centered. So this should make everything a little bit bigger than it is now and center it. See how now it's centered, takes up 1/2. Yeah, it's pretty neat, the stuff you can do. And then to organize it on the mobile, you just do the columns here.
Exactly. So real effective widget too. I love this one. It's one of my favorite ones because it's a nice one to keep your site clean by just popping up it. This beautiful little image comes across. It really looks spectacular on the phone too. Comes across the phone, gives up more information. That's why I really love this. Instead of taking up more space that somebody has to scroll on your site, it's just boom right there in their face. I love it. So. But that's about it for this training. It was going to be short and sweet, which most of these widgets are. Some of the more technically advanced widgets will be saving a little bit towards the end, such as real estate, the blog one. We're working on a few things with the blog one, even actually showing you how to set up a blog too as well. So we wanted to actually take it just a little step further for everybody. But if there's no further questions, that is going to be the it for today, and this training will be in. And again, we'll also still have every single widget will be trained upon, and every single widget will also have its own separate widget video, all individualized and basically their feature and function. So thanks everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful